Lounge, the Christmas edition. I'm Travis Kriens. We have Marcus Traxler here. We have Stripes.
Stripes McGee.
Stripes McGee.
Yeah.
Stripes McGee.
In the flesh.
In the flesh. No Drew Allen. No Drew Allen. He's busy.
Back-to-back shows now.
Back-to-back shows.
Does not arrive.
So we'll start with college football. His favorite.
His favorite.
The old eagle eye, the old roll of the eye. We're going to start with picking the conference title games and the games that are going to decide who wins each conference.
Oh, and if I may, I will grab my great placards that have been bestowed upon us.
Yes, homemade placards.
Yes, homemade.
I'm going to start off with the Big Ten, the first ever Big Ten title game. The rematch, Wisconsin-Michigan. Michigan State. Michigan State won the first matchup at home on the Hail Mary. That won it in regulation. Probably would have went in overtime if that doesn't happen. Surprised that Wisconsin's a 10-point favorite.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either.
So we're all picking. We're all going this way.
We are.
We're
on Wisconsin.
I'm going with the
On
Badgers.
Wisconsin. Yeah, I just think
First game was a bit of a
a
fluke.
little bit of fluke. I think Wisconsin has, if it's possible, become more polished since then. I think they will. Monte Ball has been unbelievable in the second half of the season, and I think that'll carry on for him. A pretty convincing. I will say it'll be Wisconsin by more than 10.
Yeah, Monty Ball's had a great season. He's probably going to be the guy that should be in New York, at least at the ceremony. That's probably not going to get invited. I think Wisconsin is better. To give Michigan State some credit, I think they're talented. But I think you can make a case they're vaguely kind of on the same plane in terms of talent. And it's just so hard to beat a team when they're equal talent-wise twice. And I think Wisconsin is a little bit more talented. So I would just be shocked if Michigan State pulled 2 upsets against the same team in one season.
What say you?
I got Wisconsin.
Okay.
During our first show, one of our first shows, our previous shows, I was surprised. I said I did not expect Michigan State to be there at the end. But 2 years in a row, they've really stepped up. And 2 years in a row, they're not going to get to go to a BCS game, even though, they're 1 game away each year.
They beat Michigan. Michigan will probably go to a BCS game.
Yeah.
And that just goes back to the whole who can bring the most
Coin,
To our wide range of all the Big Ten viewers, because I know we have so many people in East Lansing and Ann Arbor watching. But the 2 things that the Big Ten fans will quickly learn about conference title games: if you lose the conference title game, you're almost guaranteed not to go to a BCS game coming off a loss at the end of the season, unless you're undefeated. And 2, more often than not, conference title games, while they can make money, usually are not that entertaining either, unfortunately. You get some great matchups, you get some epic games, you get a fair amount of blowouts, and you get a lot of 28-10 games that aren't that exciting.
I think you pretty much hit it. I can think of a handful of Big 12 games that have been great. I can't think of that many SEC games that have been real great, and the ACC will probably never have a
Tennessee, LSU 0-1.
That's way too far back, even though Tennessee, one of my favorite schools. But that is, I don't remember that at all.
That's what
The only good ACC one I can think of is the Georgia Tech Clemson one that nobody in the country saw, because it was when Nebraska and Texas had their one that everyone in the country watched instead.
You remember Oklahoma, Kansas State?
That's one of my favorites.
That's on you.
The Darren Sproles kind of breakout game for him, oddly enough.
Well, so we're all on Wisconsin. So get rid of that one.
Yep.
Go to the ACC. Virginia Tech, Clemson. Interesting how this is going to work out. I've been on Clemson since the beginning, but this is where I'm going with this one. They have disappointed too many times here, folks. You don't lose to North Carolina State like that. You don't lose to South Carolina like that.
You don't toy with Travis Kriens.
You don't screw with me. If you do, this is what happens. Okay.
I like where you're going, because Virginia Tech seems to always meander their way into the Orange Bowl. I'm going to go with the orangest team of them all, Clemson. I've been on this kick way too long.
It's time to give it up.
I've been on the damn you Clemson now for a couple weeks.
Check you into the clinic.
And I think this is a hunch. This is the Iowa State hunch. This is the Virginia hunch.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
This is the Clemson Clemson over Virginia Tech. I got a really, it's going to be a field goal win, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if Virginia Tech
rolls them.
I am going to go with Clemson.
Nice.
Not entirely sure why, especially being that it goes against with what I was saying at the beginning, that they always end up collapsing.
And they have.
I mean, and this is, I'm not sure why I'm doing this. This is literally going, it's one of those things where your heart tells you something and your head keeps going, no, quit being stupid. I guess I'm listening to my
Your heart has never
inside.
led you wrong.
I don't know about that
Okay,
either.
all
But
right.
I think Clemson does have more talent than Virginia Tech. They don't always play up to it. And I said it's tough to beat a team twice, but I get this feeling that Virginia Tech is good, but is not as good as their ranking deserves. They're playing in a mediocre conference. And for some reason, I just feel that I guess maybe old Dabo at Clemson's got them headed sort of in the right direction.
The old sweatshirt's got him headed the right way. I will say that this, I just hated on the ACC title game. This could be a great one. I think this could be.
It was a solid game the first time when Clemson won.
Yep.
And Charlie talked about how Virginia Tech's in a mediocre conference beating up on teams. Well, this team's also in the same conference and they lose to those same teams.
If Clemson wins, I will wear the shirt.
I
I'm
would.
going to show.
I don't think this is the case. I'm going to hold out that they knew they were playing in the conference title game for the last 2
They
weeks.
had a title
and
game.
were not playing or practicing for North Carolina State or even their hated rival South Carolina. They're saying, you know what, we're going all in with the Hokies. That's probably not what happened, but that's what I'm going to go with.
That is embarrassing if they did that.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty bad.
Part of the reason why you liked Virginia last week, that's a classic game on the road where they got a lot to play for. Virginia Tech could have laid an egg, but they did not.
Yeah.
That game at halftime, they were ahead by 3 touchdowns. It was all but decided.
It was all but over. You would think I would learn not to pick against Virginia Tech 2 weeks in a row. I'll probably be worked over on that pick again, but I'm going to stick with Clemson. I think I had them pegged for the national championship game at one point, so I got.
You had Florida State.
That was at the very beginning. I think middle of the year. I'm like, well, Clemson, they can't fail now.
And I know that Virginia Tech strengths running the ball. I think Clemson's biggest weakness on defense is rush defense.
Good.
I don't know why I'm still going with Clemson, but for some reason I am.
Yeah, I have no idea either. We go to the SEC now. It's all but been decided. It's LSU, Alabama. We'll get into more of that coming up. But do we all like LSU to finish this regular season off?
I'll put it this way. LSU, I think Georgia has a good chance of winning this game.
No.
But LSU,
No.
LSU,
You're flipping it with who you're talking
unless
about.
they lose by 40
They do have
points,
a chance to play them.
unless they lose by 40 points, there's no way LSU doesn't win the championship. And really, that's what it's all about. LSU's a winner already, regardless.
I think LSU's more talented than Georgia. They have a better defense than Georgia. I think this is just kind of one of those team of destiny type years, with the other thing that not only are they kind of the team of destiny with getting a handful of breaks maybe against Alabama and playing a tough schedule, they're freaking loaded with talent though too.
Yeah.
So when you've got the breaks going the right way and they're more talented than probably, if not everyone they've played, everyone but one team they've played this year, I think this is going to be an ugly game. That's going to be like a 35-13. That's not as close as
So kind of like last week.
Kind
They
of,
beat
yeah.
Arkansas.
I think LSU team of destiny, a lot like Clemson. It's a good thing that Drew's not here. He's suffering from Clemson sickness.
Good.
Your thoughts?
Good for him.
No, on the
On
game.
the game, I asked you last week about the Arkansas game. Could they score 20? And you said,
I don't even remember what I said.
You said they'll score more. They will score more than 6, which they did. They scored 10 points on
They
the
scored less
offensive
than
end.
one.
Call.
They
Good
scored
call.
10 points on the offensive end. I challenge you this week. Arkansas has a better offense than Georgia, but does LSU give up more than 10 points?
And we're going specifically their defense.
Just the offense.
I think they will. I think Georgia's a little bit more balanced. I think they could get. I think they get more than 10, not much more than 10 though. And this, I can see this being something where they have 3 midway through the fourth quarter. And then when the dogs kind of get called off a little bit, they get 7 or 10 late.
No
points
pun
to kind of
intended?
attack it. And actually, I didn't even think of that purposely. It was not intended.
I would say 9 or 14 points for Georgia.
I go
So
exactly
either or.
to-
Either Nowhere in the
There's no middle ground.
They're not scoring more than 10 points.
Okay,
This isn't going to happen. And Jordan Jefferson played one of the best games he's ever played.
you did.
Threw the ball very well. If he does that,
He will not. I don't think he will. I don't think it'll matter.
I don't trust him for 2 straight weeks.
I think they can line up and do their big offensive line and their toss sweep play over and over and over again. And if they wanted to, I think they could win this game 6-3. But they will not want to win that way. And they will throw it a little bit and have some success and get some turnovers. And they will win easily.
That's the way Charlie sees it.
thank you. Going to another conference with their first ever championship game, Oregon versus UCLA. Just so you know what the UCLA thing looks like. We're not picking this game because we all think
Because we're calling it.
Because we're calling it. But that's why we're going by the point spread. 31 points. I'm giving you 31 points. You taking Oregon or UCLA?
In that scenario, I will take the Bruins.
Nice.
The Bruins. I actually get this weird sense that the game will be fairly close. And I think the reason is UCLA got just dogged last week against USC.
No
And
pun intended.
no, definitely no pun intended. And
They got bear rush.
New Heisel gets canned. Everybody saw that coming. And you have the factor that, okay, now they're going on the road. But if they win this game, they're in the Rose Bowl. I mean,
Which is terrible.
which is their own home stadium. But if they
And they lose.
there's a lot riding on this game. If they go 6 and 7, there's no guarantee they make a bowl. So now
They will. I'm pretty.
well, you think so?
Because Miami, they're not going to a bowl game when they could. And so there are spots open. And there's no other Pac-12 team in their division that's going to go to a bowl
That's
game.
true. That is true.
They
The
all
most
suck.
ridiculous thing ever.
I'll take UCLA to lose by 20, 24.
I will take Oregon. They are at home. They are on the roll right now. UCLA is not. Their coach is a lame duck coach. I think they might be inspired to play for him for about 9 plays. And then once everything starts going, it's not going to matter anymore. Oregon rolling with the chance to go to the Rose Bowl. I think that this is going to be, of the games we're talking about, this is going to be by far the ugliest one, I think. I think they could win this. I think they could win this like USC beat them. I wouldn't be shocked if this was 50-0.
How do you feel about the Pac-12 going with the home field advantage to the team with the best record?
Hate it.
Terrible.
I hate it. I really do. I totally understand the fact that Oregon earns home field advantage, especially in a year like this where they are 5 wins better than UCLA is. But there's 4 wins, whatever it is.
They'll be 5 after
But
Saturday.
there's neutral ground between UCLA in Los Angeles and Eugene where you can play the game. Play the game in Seattle, play the game in San Francisco, play the game in Oakland, play the game in wherever else, Los Angeles.
San Diego.
San Diego would be a great spot for us. So, I don't buy that.
Mile high.
Denver would be fine as well. I just, Las Vegas is kind of the one I would say if you're going to give Las Vegas a game and they host a bowl game, that's where I would put it.
I honestly, as of this second right now, I don't have a problem with it. I like it that it's something new and different on the conference title game take. Being that everyone has
There's no team
neutral
twice.
field sites. For the most part, they have a specific one they use over and over again with one other one they kind of throw in there every once in a while. And you'll frequently see teams that are basically playing home field games anyways at neutral field sites. Like in the Big 12, whenever they were playing in Dallas, for the most part, the South team had a huge advantage. And when they would play in Kansas City, the Northern team would have a huge advantage. So as of right now, I think it's a fun thing that's interesting. I know I will not like it, and I don't think it's going to matter this year, but I think at some point in the next few years, some team that's on the road in 2 very evenly matched teams is going to get screwed out of something, and they're going to blame it on the home field or something like that. And then I think there's a chance that it could change that.